Hi, everybody. Thank you very much, Shaz. I'm Jonah. I'm the Director of Sales here for Alibaba North America. As John touched on before, we're really excited to be here. We have a lot of very exciting announcements for Alibaba.com. So John went through a lot of the high-level overview of Alibaba.com and our vision. I'm going to go into the weeds a little bit more and best practices on how to actually source products from Alibaba.com. So to give everybody a little context on Alibaba.com, if John did not go through some of the finer details here, Alibaba.com, we are the world's largest wholesale B2B trading platform. And as you can see here, we have some pretty staggering numbers. We have 10 million active business buyers today on Alibaba.com. We have over 300 million product listings, and we have 150,000 suppliers that are listed on Alibaba.com today. And one key note on the 150,000 suppliers that are listed on Alibaba.com, in 2018, we actually added 30,000 suppliers to our database. So we're constantly innovating, adding new suppliers to the database to ensure that you are working with top suppliers that are leading in your category. So what we're going to go through today, like I said, this is a step-by-step sourcing tutorial on how to best use Alibaba.com to grow your business and lower your cost of goods sold. So first we're going to start with finding and searching for a supplier, how to best communicate with the supplier on Alibaba.com, how to place an order through Alibaba.com, paying through Alibaba, financing your order, our inspection service, Alibaba's new shipping service, and last but not least, our local sales and support team that's based out of New York City. So step number one, as I touched on in the first slide there, we have 150,000 suppliers on Alibaba.com. The fundamental part of using our platform to source successfully is to ensure that you are working with a top supplier. Has anyone here signed up for an Alibaba.com account or actually sourced a product through Alibaba? Yes? Great. Okay, so some of you are familiar with it, some of you are not as familiar with it. When you're looking for a supplier, the left-hand side of the page there, that is the Alibaba.com homepage. And you are able to filter. We have a few different tools where you can actually find a supplier that meets your criteria. So step number one is ensuring that you are working with either a trade agent or the manufacturer yourself. So I'm sure most people here understand a manufacturer. You are actually buying the products directly from the individual that is producing them, and they are shipping those products from the manufacturer to your place of business. There's then on Alibaba.com what's called a trade agent. A trade agent is essentially a middleman that is going to hear you, the buyer, and it will put you in touch with a manufacturer that meets your needs. By no means is going through a trade agent a bad route, but there are fees associated where the trade agent likely will mark up the cost of the items so he or she can make a profit on those orders. So filter number one is ensuring that you are working with either a trade agent or a manufacturer. From there, you're able to filter based on what's called a MOQ, a minimum order quantity. We hear from a lot of our buyers here in the States, they want to work with a specific supplier. Some of the suppliers on our platform have a minimum order quantity, and if your order quantity is too low, they will not fulfill your order. So when filtering for a supplier, you choose manufacturer or trade agent. You're then also able to filter based on the minimum order quantity to ensure that any supplier that you communicate with is willing to take on your quantity and your order. Last but not least is desired price. We have suppliers all over the map in terms of price point. I imagine if I'm looking to source a red iPhone case and I want to resell on a platform such as Amazon.com, I know to have a healthy margin, I have to buy my product at $1 if I want to sell it for $3. When looking for a supplier, not only can you filter by supplier type, trade agent, or manufacturer, you can also search by desired price range, so that only the suppliers that you are working with or communicating with have that target price that you know that you feel comfortable with. And last but not least, so traveling to China is time consuming, can be very expensive. We actually have very in-depth supplier profiles. That is the screen there on the right-hand side. So there are actually videos that will walk you through the supplier facility. That is everything from the type of machinery they use, the facilities, how many employees they have, the ratings on Alibaba. So how many Alibaba buyers have been satisfied with those suppliers. And then in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see the verification documents. This shows that the supplier that is listing their primary products, the regions they primarily sell their products to, and that Alibaba did an actual audit of this facility. That is all included here on the supplier profile with the verification records. And what a lot of buyers that we have worked with out of our New York-based office are not aware of, all of this information is readily available right from the supplier profile page on Alibaba.com. So that's step number one, and the most important step is finding a supplier. The next is communicating with suppliers on Alibaba.com. For those of you that have used Alibaba in the past, we see that certain suppliers, we list their response rate. The response rate is when a supplier receives an inquiry from a buyer, how likely and what percentage of the time do they actually respond to that inquiry. So by working with our team, we've actually done some research from our buyers and how are they successful receiving a response from some of our top suppliers. And as much as you, the buyer, are vetting the supplier to see, is this supplier trustworthy? Do I feel comfortable doing business with the supplier? They're also vetting you as a buyer to ensure, is it worth my time to send this buyer a quotation? Is it worth my time to respond to this inquiry? We have actually put together a template of best practices and how to ensure the supplier knows that you're a serious buyer. That includes your product specs in that initial message to the supplier, your prototype details, where your business is located, annual revenue, and also asking the supplier about their sampling process. A lot of our US-based businesses want to actually touch and feel the product before they place a mass order. And some suppliers, most suppliers on Alibaba.com will actually offer either a free sample or a paid sample where you will not have to hit that minimum order quantity of, let's say, 1,000 units. They will send you 1 unit so you can touch and feel that product, those iPhone cases I was referring to, before you place an order for 1,000 units. So front-loading all those questions into that initial message eliminates the back and forth on the messages between yourself and the supplier. It also allows the supplier to realize you are a serious buyer and that they should take this inquiry very seriously. So this is communicating with the supplier. There are 2 primary methods on how you can communicate with the supplier. Method number 1 is once you go through the filtering process and you say, this supplier, I've verified his or her products and services. These are the verification videos. I want to message supplier X and supplier Y. You can send them a direct message and they will get back to you accordingly. The other communication method where you can reach out to suppliers is what we call an RFQ. This is a request for quotation. The first method, you are directly messaging the supplier and waiting on a response. Our request for quotation tool, you post your product specs, you post how many units you want to purchase, and you post images of what you're hoping to source. You're essentially putting the ball in the supplier's court. They go through the RFQ process in the dashboard on a daily basis, and suppliers that feel they can fulfill your order will reach out to you directly and say, I saw your RFQ posting. I can produce 1,000 units of that red iPhone case, and they reach out to you directly. So to summarize, there are 2 primary methods to communicate with a supplier on Alibaba.com. That's A, going through the filtering tool, selecting a supplier you want to directly message, and B is going through the request for quotation tool and putting your product specs up there and having suppliers come to you with quotations. So we've gone through searching for a supplier, communicating with a supplier. Now we're going to go through ordering and paying through Alibaba. So a hot topic is something that comes up frequently with our New York-based sales and support team. Buyers want to know more information on how trade assurance works. So trade assurance is a completely free service to buyers. Trade assurance was built to help foster trust between buyers and suppliers. What trade assurance does, trade assurance offers buyers a money-back guarantee if the supplier misses their ship date, if the products arrive and they are not the quality that you agreed upon in your trade assurance contract. So to explain that a little further, a trade assurance contract is when you are placing an order through a supplier. Similar to a purchase order, there is a trade assurance contract that both the buyer and the supplier sign. If the terms of that deal are not met by the supplier and you receive your product and they are either damaged, if there is a ship date in the trade assurance contract and the supplier ships a day late, a week late, a month late, the supplier did not meet the demands of that trade assurance contract, Alibaba offers the buyer their money back. And as I stated before, this is a free service as long as the trade assurance contract is detailed out in the trade assurance order and the payment has to be processed through Alibaba.com. So that is trade assurance. We also offer 4 different payment methods on Alibaba.com. We offer TT, which is essentially a telegraphic transfer. We offer e-checking, where you can link up your e-checking account directly to Alibaba.com and make a transfer to the supplier. The third is credit card. And last but not least, a service called Alibaba Pay Later. I'm going to get into Pay Later now. So Alibaba Pay Later was a service that our New York-based sales and support team, we heard a lot from our US-based businesses that the minimum order quantity, may be too high for some of our top suppliers. The average US-based small business owner has 22 days of working capital in their bank account. We wanted to provide our businesses with what we call purchasing power, negotiating leverage, so they can negotiate with the suppliers. If you, the buyer, want to drive down your cost per unit, likely the supplier is going to say, I'm happy to lower the cost of that red iPhone case from $1 to 75 cents, but you're going to have to increase your order from 1,000 units to 2,000 units. So Alibaba Pay Later is essentially a service that we offer through Alibaba.com where we provide our business owners with working capital. That working capital is deposited directly into your Alibaba.com account. The application process takes about 10 minutes. It takes about 10 minutes to fill out the application. You hear back on your credit line within 20 minutes. And the application process, the process once the funds and you are approved for up to $150,000 are deposited directly into your Alibaba.com account. All right, so we've gone through finding a supplier, communicating with a supplier, trade assurance, and ordering through Alibaba, Alibaba Pay Later, and now we're going to go through what's called Alibaba Inspection. We've heard from a lot of buyers that they want to have a third party, an impartial third party, inspect their products before they are shipped from their manufacturer to their place of business. And the word that I use there is third party is really fundamental in this inspection process. If you do opt or decide to add inspection to your cart, to your order, before you place that trade assurance order on Alibaba.com, this is a third party that is going to actually go to the manufacturer to inspect your products. This is not an Alibaba.com employee. This inspection provider has no affiliation with your supplier. This inspection company works for you, the Alibaba.com buyer. They will go to the manufacturer. They will do a conformity check. They will do a quantity check, and they will ensure that the products meet the specs that were detailed in that trade assurance contract. You're also able to communicate directly with this inspection provider. If you are ordering a highly customized product or good, and you want to ensure that they test the type of wood or the material that's used in the iPhone case, you can communicate that directly to the inspection provider, and they check all of that prior to the products shipping to your place of business. We're often asked, what is the difference between trade assurance and inspection? So trade assurance, once you receive the products at your place of business and you determine that 10% of the product is damaged or the supplier missed the shipping date, Alibaba will offer you, the buyer, your money back. The issue with that is Oftentimes you may have, if you're an Amazon reseller, you may have orders that you're relying on those goods to show up on a certain date, where if we offer your money back, you still have to place another order through Alibaba.com. So the inspection service catches any errors before that product is shipped from the manufacturer to your place of business. So this is Alibaba Inspection. So last but not least, on what we call the value-added services. So these are the services that we offer to our buyers on Alibaba.com. Going through the process, finding a supplier, you communicate with the supplier, you build a relationship, you agree on the quantity and also the price per unit. What we've seen here is, in most cases, the US buyer will rely on the supplier to choose the best shipping method. A few horror stories that we've heard from some of our buyers. We had one Amazon reseller that we were working with a few months back. They did not need the product for 60 days. The supplier decided to ship the product via Air Express rather than ocean. Air Express is a more expensive option to ship your products versus ocean shipping. The supplier wanted to choose the easiest shipping method possible to get the products from them to the buyer as quickly as possible. Now, with Alibaba Shipping, we actually provide you a solution that's directly integrated into Alibaba.com, where our mission is to provide the buyer not only with the lowest possible price, but also pricing transparency. So you are relying on the supplier to build you a quality product. The supplier is by no means a shipping expert. We take that enterprise discount that we, Alibaba.com, have built by doing the most volume of shipments of any business globally from China to the United States. We pass along the enterprise discount to our buyers on Alibaba.com, and we also provide you, the buyer, with full pricing transparency, so you no longer have to rely on the supplier to choose your shipping method. So John touched on this very briefly in his previous slide. We have a local sales and support team based out of New York City. You know, even going through Alibaba.com, all of our value-added services, our filtering process, international sourcing can be difficult. There is, language barrier. These suppliers oftentimes are working different hours than we are here in Las Vegas, California, or New York. We have a local sales and support team that I oversee in our New York-based office. This is everything from helping you adopt some of our value-added services like shipping, logistics, pay later, finding a top supplier, but we also support you, the buyer, through the entire buyer journey. So our New York-based sales team, we have 20 representatives that are dedicated to helping you, the US-based business, source more reliably on Alibaba.com. And to finalize the presentation here, we have 2 booths where we have 5 representatives from my team, both here in the Design and Source Center right at the front. We also are in Central Hall. We'd love for all of you to come by and meet with us individually, hear a little bit more about your business, how you currently source, where you sell your products, and how we can help benefit your business on Alibaba.com. So thank you all very much for your time here today.